Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss pre-market video for Thursday, June 25th, 2020. I am Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss. Here's a look at the daily time frame of the ES. You'll notice here we had the potential to see a major breakout. A major breakout was in play, in development, needed to get to 3150. By the end of the day, fell and closed as a doji. We knew right there that that could suggest a swing back the other direction. Especially if price started to take out 3100 here and fail at that zone. We saw a pretty tremendous trend down yesterday morning, followed by a box that formed at lows. And right now what you're seeing, especially in overnight trading here, price came down and took out the previous session's low. Right down here, a tiny little higher low and go, and price bounced back up above the previous session's low. Previous session's low basically 30.1975, I believe, is the actual level. But what we're looking for here is for price to continue to hold that level on a short-term basis. If we can continue to hold 30.20, we may actually begin to roll back up within the range toward 3109.5 and come right back to the center of that trading range there. If there's a failure here, there's one key level that we will be watching here in the trading room. It's 30.63. 30.63 is a very important level there. If price can't hold 30.63, then we may see further weakness here ahead down toward 29.69 and perhaps down toward 29.2275s. So right now 30.63 is the major level that bulls must reclaim in order to really get this thing going back up the short-term range. All right, let's take a look here. I'm going to bring back our normal look here and just show the 5-day profile or 5-day ADR here, very, very narrow over the last 5 sessions. We were also looking at a 7-day range yesterday as well. I'll show you how that finished. Here's the compression on a 7-day range. Even though we had a big high range day yesterday, or pretty decent high range day, it was still inside, this 7-day range. So we still have a lot of compression. You can see, as I mentioned yesterday, this thing has continued to hold near the 300, but has come down from 322 down to 311. And until we see a breakout, we may see this continue to come down just a little bit here before we see that boost of volatility. So somewhere between 290 and 300 points could be the next major move. We talked about the 2850 level being important here. If this is a rejection at 3150, then the 300 points may come to the downside. If we are able to form a strong bottom here and turn around, then perhaps from 3,000 here we can point higher 300 and we get 3,300, which takes out that previous high of 32.31. So again, we're looking to see which way we go from here out of the 7-day narrow range, but I wanted to give you some key levels to watch. Here's the NQ. Now the NQ also rejecting the previous session's low right around 99.25. If we zoom in here, you can see previous session's low here, failed new low. And again, in an uptrending market, this is one of the best opportunities to buy, generally speaking, is a failed new low in an uptrending market. Because if it continues to hold that low, at least on a day trading basis, you're headed higher the rest of the day, generally speaking, and then that could be a swing low where over the course of several days you continue higher. Now you can see based off of this channel here, at least in the case of the NQ, we haven't quite gotten to the bottom of the channel here. Maybe we need a little bit more downside to 97.60 before we bounce again. But one level to continue to watch here is going to be that 10.155 half, and that's basically this high right there. 10.155 half. 10.155 half is right there. It's that high. And for the most part, if price rejects that level, so I'm going to put a high right on that point right here. If we're going to reject that level, high odds we go back to this middle target. That's 97.6188. And if we can't fail to hold that zone, or if we fail to hold that zone, we go down to this target here. That's 93.68. So those are the two downside targets here that could be in play based off the rejection here at 155 half. Now if we do come back to this 98, 97, 60 zone, that again could be an easy buy for a continuation back up. So right now, keeping an eye on the previous session's low. Really to get going to the upside, need to reclaim the 10-155 level. Until then, we may see a little bit more weakness, especially if that previous low can't be held. All right, let's take a look at crude oil here. Crude oil, big time weakness over the last couple of days here, especially yesterday. A solid turnaround from the recent highs. So you can see this thing has rallied from 10 bucks on that low here. It was actually lower than that, but from 10 bucks on this low all the way up here to 41.63. One thing we've seen here over the last few days is a rejection, a higher high rejection. So here's the high right there. And you can see this is something we pointed out in the pre-market report here a couple days ago, where we rejected 2-day highs here on this day, and now we've come to make it resistance. So we talked about 40.5 yesterday, and prices above 40 in general perhaps being a zone for bears to defend. If so, then we may see a move that takes us right back down to the previous lows here, and that could be around 34s. So right now we're still seeing weakness here. There's an inability to get above 38 halves. 38 halves, by taking 38 halves offered, the suggestion was that we were likely going back toward 30. Rather, by taking 39 halves offered, that's the previous week's close, we're likely headed to 37 half. We got that yesterday. If we fail to hold 37, it opens up more weakness down to the previous week's low and the previous month's low, again 34. So right now, still showing a downward path here for crude oil, and previous session's close currently being defended at 38.07. Now keep in mind, we do have an uptrending market here. Over the last however many months, this thing has been going up, 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 and every time we get into that Pima trigger zone, it's a bounce. Pima trigger zone bounce. We're in that Pima trigger zone right now. We could see some strength that comes out of it soon. I would say the level to watch here in this case is that line right there. If we start to close below that gray line, which is the 21-day pivot-based EMA, that's going to be an indication of more weakness to come. So right now that line is currently 36.74. If we start to close through that zone today, that may indicate, again, a flush toward 34s. Okay, let's take a look lastly at gold futures. This one here, currently down about 0.5%. It appeared like we were starting to see a breakout yesterday, but again, needed to hold 1775 is what we talked about, right? That's the upper end of the range, and typically speaking, you know, you can get above that zone, but then it can become a trap. It can become a trap up there for late bulls, and that's a pretty sharp turnaround. It's very clear this market hasn't really wanted to test 1800 proper. It's gotten to 1796.10 here, got close over here, and has rotated each and every time. Got above 1775. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that we could still see a major move higher. Remember, we have this 3-month trading range that has been in play right here, and one thing that happened was that price compressed to a point right there, and on this day here, that was potentially the breakout that's triggered that has triggered a broader breakout from this range. So if we have seen the breakout here, I mentioned yesterday, we could theoretically drop back into 1750 to 1760, and if price can find a rejection in that zone, you can see the rising 8 period here to provide support. If we can do that, that may be the point where this thing launches higher and gets that 1831 and likely rallies toward 1900 and higher. So again, this is the one point right here where we could drop into 1750 to 1760, and if we reject out of that zone back above 1760, that could be the buy the dip that leads to more strength ahead. So again, that's going to be the key zone to watch. We are rotating down off the upper end of this zone right now, but you can see how price, especially the 8 period, has come to provide support. We'll see if that holds. Otherwise, this thing headed right back down towards 1700 and 1670. All right, that is it for now. We'll see how this plays out heading into the rest of the session. Good luck, trade well, and I'll see you in the trading room. Take care.